Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Claire Lee and I'll be your host for this episode. This week, I will be remote sitting down with this year's HOSA president, Isabel Goldsmith. We'll take a peek into this year's plans for HOSA activities and events, along with discussing the importance of being a role model while being a HOSA member. So get ready, because this is Lambert in real time. Hello, Lambert Longhorns. My name is Claire Lee, and I'll be your host for this podcast. Welcome back to the show, and on today's episode, I am joined with a guest representing our future medical professionals of Lambert. I welcome this year's president of Lambert HOSA, Isabel Goldsmith. Hi, how are you today?
Doing well. How are you today, Claire?
I'm doing good, and I'm glad to hear that you are as well. I'm excited to talk to you today about everything that you guys have been doing over the summer to make sure that your members have the best year possible. So, Lambert HOSA is widely popular amongst the students here and has a reputation of being the largest high school HOSA in the world. I'm sure most of us have at least heard of HOSA, but for those who are unfamiliar or interested, could you tell us a little bit more about the purpose of HOSA?
Yeah, sure. So HOSA is an international student-led organization for students who want to enter the medical field later in life or even do something in research or biotech. We do have competitions for those. Speaking of our competitions, we typically have our two big ones each year, some at Fall Leadership Conference and some at State Leadership Conference, which is typically our members' favorite event. There is dozens of competitions. My favorite is Medical Law and Ethics. That's the one I compete in. And then just various others to prepare you for what field you want to go in. And it's great to make connections and friends and all sorts of other things.
So, as I mentioned earlier, you're the new president for this year's Lambert HOSA. You must have gone through a very rigorous process, and I know it's not easy, so I'd love to hear more about your journey and how you've been involved in HOSA for the past couple of years and in your school career.
So I joined HOSA in middle school in about 7th grade, but I didn't really get involved until freshman year. I was fortunate enough to have a next door neighbor and best friend who was a HOSA officer and was able to tell me how rewarding all the behind the scenes work was, because I'd only seen the front, the competitions, and I thought it was cool. But once I found out what it was to be behind the scenes, that I knew that that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to help other members have the great experience I did. So my first year, I was the middle school liaison, and I started HOSA dissection, in which we did 4 dissections a year. We did sea stars, squid, shark, and then fetal pig. Then my second year, that was last year, I was the treasurer. That was a lot of fun, working all the things out with the conferences, the buses, doing all the logistics. And then finally this year, I am currently the president, which was a great journey to take with some wonderful advisors and some wonderful officers who are great at just covering everything that HOSA needs to do and needs to be.
It's so cool to hear your journey and how hard you worked over the past couple of years in order to have this position. Being a HOSA officer definitely takes some teamwork, and besides you, you have your officers and advisors. So how's it been so far working with them planning this year?
So far, it's been really, really good. We weren't allowed to have our officer retreat this year, which normally lasts a couple of days due to social distancing. But we did have an officer get together. We did it outside in the park with everyone wearing masks, and we were able to successfully get done our plan of work for the year, planning a lot of our chapter meetings, how this year is going to work credit-wise and participation-wise, and basically making it worth joining HOST this year for our members, making sure they get a lot out of it. And it was really great. And then our advisors are more helpful than ever. They're very hands-on people who are really passionate about HOSA like we are. Miss Suber's been involved for HOSA for many, many years. Dr. Ellis has as well. I think Miss Bell just recently joined HOSA. We also have a new advisor this year, Dr. Bush. He seems really great. I've only met him once or twice, but I'm definitely ready for a year with a new advisor to maybe give us some new ideas.
Your team seems really incredible, and I'm excited to hear a little bit more about them and what you guys have worked on over the summer in the second part of the podcast. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome to the break part of the podcast. Hello to all the HOSA members listening right now, hoping to get a credit opportunity by listening to the podcast. I'm sure you've heard from your officers that by listening to the podcast and filling out a Google form talking about what you learned or found interesting about the podcast, you can get a credit. So I've been told that there is going to be a link to a Google Forms in the Lambert HOSA Instagram, so go check it out and make sure to fill out that form for that credit. For anyone who has an idea, want to submit a topic, or recommend someone, student or staff member, to be on the show, you can go fill out a Google Forms linked in our Instagram bio at LHS Realtime. So let us know what you're interested in hearing in our podcast, and maybe we'll use your topic. And while you're there, give us a follow on Instagram to keep up with all the news and updates for these episodes. Thanks, and let's go back to the podcast. Welcome back from the break. We're going to talk a little bit more about how HOSA has been doing over the summer and what they've been planning for this year. Isabel, since school has begun and clubs are now getting started back up again, how's it been getting ready for the new school year? Are there any new changes HOSA officers had to adapt to maintain social distancing over the summer? And what have you guys planned to maintain active membership?
So it's been really good. As I said before, we're trying to figure out new ways to do it. Some of the things we've come up with this year to get members more involved is we have our new membership cards. So once members sign up, they can go and get their membership cards from one of the advisors' rooms, and that membership card will be good for getting little rewards throughout the year. At the end of the year, if they build up a certain amount of like participation points and they have their card, they can get certain HOSA merch or any other rewards, and we might just have fun small prizes for them to get as the year goes on. We've also tried to redo how our credits are going to look due to the fact that volunteer hours or opportunities are going to be a lot less this year. We're no longer going to have our volunteering at the nursing home. However, we are still going to have our chapter meetings. We're still going to have guest speakers over Zoom because we're going to be focusing on like education this year. And every month for an unlimited credit, we're going to have an educational video that's going to go out. It's only going to be like 10-15 minutes. They have to watch it, answer like 5 questions over a Google questionnaire, and then that's it. Then they get a credit, and they learn something too. So we're making it very easily accessible for members to still get their credits this year and still participate while learning all the stuff HOSA has to offer.
I love the new activities and events that you guys have planned this year to make sure that your members are having fun and learning. I want to mention one cool thing that you guys were able to do this year was creating a video demonstrating self-hygiene and safety for the county. Having such a large healthcare department here at Lambert now also means that HOSA has to be a role model at our school. What are some things that you guys hope to do this year in order to help influence our students at Lambert to be cautious about their health?
We just really hope to educate them. We can't talk about proper hygiene and why that's necessary. By producing these videos and seeking to educate people on how to do some of these things, we're taking those steps. We are also currently selling masks as a fundraiser. It's a credit for any of our members, and they can buy them in the advisor's room.
So, how do you hope that Lambert HOSA students represent our school in terms of safety and self-hygiene?
I just hope they take what they know and just implement it. I hope that they're not the types that are ignoring the one-way signs and trying to go the opposite way, and are just acknowledging that even though it might be uncomfortable or inconvenience to do some of these procedures or do certain things, that it's necessary in these times, and that being the leaders and showing it, because I know our HOSA members, I know they're the ones that are going to take the steps to do it right and make sure this school year can see its way through.
I feel like because Lambert HOSA is such a prominent presence at our school, the students are actively understanding that they have a responsibility to educate and keep each other safe. Each year, with hundreds of willing volunteers, HOSA at its core is a service club. With social distancing, I imagine it will be very difficult to have large volunteer opportunities. What are you guys planning this year to give your members a similar experience in the foreseeable future?
Yeah, sure. So we're still trying to gauge how things are going to work in terms of how many people we're allowed to have with gatherings. As I said, a lot of our volunteer opportunities have been shut down. Our volunteering at the nursing home has been shut down, but we are looking into other ways to volunteer in terms of doing cards for people, for like healthcare workers, or doing other things like that. We're looking into them. But until then, we are just going to focus on just some educational stuff for our members, as I previously mentioned, the videos and the Zoom calls and other stuff like that.
I believe that staying optimistic is the best way to have a great year, and I'm glad to hear that you guys see that way too. I know that things are going to look a little bit different this year, and each club is being affected in a different way. So, how will HOSA be different in comparison to previous years in terms of activities and events?
So HOSA and I think school and life in general is just a lot different right now. And I think it's just going to change and it's going to shift to hopefully bringing us maybe a little bit closer together. I think that there was a lot of competition in HOSA. I know that some members had a hard time trying to get credit opportunities if the volunteering was on the same day every week. So I think now that we're having a lot more unlimited opportunities to gain credits, that more people will be easily accessible to them to get credits to join HOSA, to hopefully in March participate in SLC if that still happens.
Personally, as a member of HOSA, attending SLC and ILC, I'm excited to see the members' bond grow. So hopefully when we do get to attend these events in the spring and summer, so we can attend in full capacity supporting each other. Finally, Isabel, is there anything that you want to tell your members about and what they can expect to see this year?
Yes. So I'm not sure if any of our members have heard news, but Fall Rally is currently not happening as of now. The Perry Fair has said that they're not hosting it this year. Georgia HOSA is still saying what they're going to do with that. Fall Leadership Conference will be virtual this year, which I think will be cool. We're trying to figure out a way for our members to at least see opening session and see the guest speaker so they can have the experience of that, because the guest speakers at Fall Leadership Conference are always some of the best. But even with those two big events being canceled, we still have a lot to look forward to this year. Now is not the time or the year, I guess, to sit idle and be like, oh, we're not doing much, so I'm not going to join any clubs this year, host this case and organization. It's still important to join and be a part of something like that and talk with people and talk with members and go to these opportunities, because they'll help you, and it will help you build a family for next year when hopefully things go back to normal. It can be part of HOSA. And even if you're graduating, you should stay and see what we have to offer and see how this year can be different, but not necessarily worse than the last. And then one more thing I want our host members to know is that our national service project this year is Be the Match. Be the Match's kind of mission statement is that they're a global leader in bone marrow transplantation. They conduct research to improve transplant outcomes and provide support and research for their patients. And that is still our goal this year, to help raise funds for Be the Match. We'll have news and information on how to do that later in the year.
Things are going to look a little different this year. I mean, I know things are already pretty different now, but I can tell that you guys have been working extra hard to ensure that your members are having the best experience possible. Though it may seem like things are going to be completely different, I'm sure that you guys are going to have the same amount of fun as any other. Well, thank you so much, Isabel, for coming on the show, and I'm proud to say that we have great role models at our school to show our students and staff how to remain safe while still enjoying the year. I'm excited to see and be a part of all of your projects, and I know they're going to be quite amazing. So for anyone interested in joining HOSA or learning a little bit more about your projects, Isabel, could you let us know where they can keep up with you and find that information?
Yeah, sure. So we have our Instagram, that's at Lambert HOSA. We also have a Facebook, which is the same thing. And then always check out our website, lamberthosa.weebly.com. And that is for all your member needs. We have our credits up on there, upcoming member calendars, just so you know what dates things are happening, just to keep yourself informed. And then this year we are not doing Remind. It was a little bit hard last year with having a bunch of different reminds. So this year our members are being asked to join a new app called Slack. There is a tag that will be sent out for them to join, and they will receive notifications through that app.
HOSA is such an amazing organization, and I hope that people listening learn a little bit more about you and HOSA. Thank you again, Isabel, for talking to me today and telling us a little bit more about HOSA.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. It was my pleasure. If you're interested in checking out more episodes, they can be found on Spotify and YouTube under Lambert in Real Time, and you can check us out on Instagram for episode updates. Thank you so much for listening, stay safe, and hook 'em!